Hey, Christy.
Hey, Cathi.
Nice to
Fun
see your
summer.
face. I
I
know.
know. I know. We've been
So here
so
we are.
busy
I
doing
know.
summer
Here we are
stuff.
continuing with our reduxes this summer. I love this revisiting some of our old episodes.
Yeah. Yeah. And today we're doing the part one of ThrillerFest. We did, I guess, did we do four parts from
I can't
ThrillerFest
remember.
2019? I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
We interviewed a ton of authors. It was so much fun.
It
And
was at a cocktail party. I remember that.
yes,
So everyone
yes,
was enjoying cocktails, which is perfect for us.
right. Right. And actually I broke out a cocktail just for this
I did
intro.
too. I did too. Cheers.
Cheers. So yeah, so we did this and we thought, hey, ThrillerFest 2000 or 2022, 21. Oh my gosh. Whatever is
This
next
year's.
week. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's going to be virtual again this year, which I can't wait to go back in person next year. I'm
Right.
extremely excited about it. I already checked it out. They're at a new hotel
Oh,
next year.
really? Oh, I
Yeah,
can't wait. I
I
can't
know. I'm really
wait.
excited too.
I know. And we got this wonderful book. Have you started reading it yet?
I have. So I had told you that I had already ordered this on my own, and then we
Mhm.
got another copy from the folks at ThrillerFest, so we can give one away.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah.
but
And I just started reading it like yesterday and I'm already halfway through. It's
it's
really
good, right?
good. Yeah. And it's kind of like close to home because our sound editor is a lot like the protagonist. Hopefully, nothing else about him is like, but he went to NYU, film
Yes.
student.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that his freshman dorm was the same dorm that the
Was it
protagonist.
really?
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
that's so cool.
I know. It is kind of cool. So, anyway, but I'm really enjoying it. It's twisty turny. I want to keep reading it right now.
Absolutely.
And you know,
Well,
the guy's I mean, Alex Finley's not his real name, it's a pseudonym.
it is.
Oh yes.
Okay. We better not say
Much
with a real
mystery about it, but
one.
I think we can get him on our podcast next
I would
season.
love to talk to him.
Yeah.
I will say he has a pretty ringing endorsement from one of the board members of ThrillerFest, Karen Slaughter, by the way, right on the front
Yes.
cover.
Remember we
And she
saw
talks about the
her at
twist
that
too.
same ThrillerFest too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this year's, for anybody who doesn't know, ThrillerFest is the annual conference for the International Thriller Writers Association.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a huge event, always in New York City, except for the last 2 years. And again,
Then it was in
year,
cyber world.
yeah, but you know what's great about that? That people who couldn't get to New York City, during that week, can take advantage of
And
this.
it's a lot cheaper doing it that way, I
It is a
guess.
lot less expensive. New York City is not the least expensive venue by any means, but boy, did we have fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I can't wait till next year. We're definitely going, Cathi,
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
no matter what.
Absolutely. So two things: you need to go to the Thriller Fest website, and we will include that on our website and on our social media.
Mm-hmm.
You can still register. It starts next week, and it really is a fantastic opportunity for mystery and thriller writers talking about craft, all aspects of craft.
Right.
And
I'm thinking masterclass, you might still be able to sign up for. That's what you did last year,
I
and
did
that's
do that
real
last year.
intensive. I'm
Yep,
pretty sure Pitch Fest might be sold out,
probably.
but they have a consult fest that you could
Mm-hmm.
probably do, and then also the Extreme Craft Fest,
Yep.
which is definitely anybody can sign up for it, and you're going to get like 200 videos,
Yeah, and
good
just
for a year to
tons
watch.
of
Yeah.
authors. I mean, tons and tons of authors from really well established authors like Karen
Yes.
Slaughter or Hank Philippi
Hank.
Ryan and Jeffrey Deaver to debut authors and
Yeah.
to people like Alex Finlay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
besides the information we're going to give you about ThrillerFest, we will also be giving away a copy of Every Last Fear
Yes.
to celebrate ThrillerFest.
You're going to love it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So
Well,
the only thing we can do now is
yeah.
maybe have a sip of our wine and you guys enjoy this Redux from 2019.
Cheers.
Cheers. Hey everyone, here we are at ThrillerFest 2019 in New York City.
I'm so excited to be here with you, and to be podcasting from ThrillerFest.
Yes, and Cathi, I looked it up,
Mm-hmm.
and we both traveled almost the same distance to get here. So it was 1,400 miles from Brookings, South Dakota, and 1,300 miles from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It was quite a trip.
Thank goodness for airplanes, is all I can say. But it was so worth it. I am fangirling out at ThrillerFest. This is pretty great.
Yes, we are getting our thrills at ThrillerFest.
We've been waiting to say that for a while. I feel that.
Yes.
So many of our favorite and soon-to-be favorite authors are walking around this hotel, giving great classes, taking classes. It's amazing. So let's get started.
All right.
First, tell us and our mysterious foodies out there about the wines you chose. I'm so excited.
Okay, yes. I had fun shopping in Manhattan. I went to Beekman Liquor on Lexington Avenue. And
in Midtown.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And since we don't really know if these wines are in South Dakota and South Florida, I just kind of said, let's pick something mysterious or thrillerish or whatever. Okay?
That we could serve to all of our new favorite authors.
Right. So our red wine is called Love Noir.
Of course it is. Perfect.
And their line is, take a sip and fall in love with the darker side of wine.
Oh, the darker side of wine. That sounds perfect. You chose wisely.
Yes.
I think. We haven't tasted it yet.
Yes. Actually, on the label, there was some rather fun description.
The label is gorgeous.
So it is a robust, jammy flavors of dark cherry and rich espresso, spark, intensity, and intrigue, and lead to a smooth, balanced finish with soft hints of vanilla and toasted oak.
That sounds perfect for ThrillerFest.
Know.
Intrigue.
Yes.
And it sounds like something you would love with all of the espresso and dark oak.
Oh, yes.
That's so you.
Yeah. And it pairs well with garlic and herb roasted pork and chicken artichoke flatbread. They were very specific.
That is very specific, but that sounds delicious.
I know. I'm getting hungry. And so the white wine, going along those same lines, is called the 9 Lives Reserve.
Oh, my.
And the vineyard had an intriguing black cat that shadowed in their vineyards.
Really?
And so they ended up putting a 9 charm on the cat, signifying its many lives, and so each harvest is better than the one before.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so what is that? What kind of white is that?
Sauvignon Blanc.
All right, very
nice. So
nice.
we have a Pinot Noir and a Sauvignon Blanc.
Ooh, I think this is going to be perfect.
I know.
Christy, I remember those wines were very drinkable.
Yeah, and I think the authors like them too.
Not to mention we were at a cocktail party anyway. So let's get started with our fun conversations.
Let's do. First up,
KJ Howe.
She was a delight to talk to, and she made us feel so welcome at ThrillerFest.
You know, she's the executive director of this huge conference, and it was so nice of her to take the time to sit down and talk to us about her work as a writer.
Thanks very much for having me on. I've immersed myself in the world of kidnap and ransom for the last 6 years. And my character, Thea Paris, is an alpha female who travels the globe to the worst hotspots to bring hostages back home.
Oh, that sounds thrilling,
to say the least. And if people are interested, they could go on KJ's website and figure out she's done quite a little bit of adventure herself.
Yes, so travel and adventure are passions of mine. I've done, shark cage diving in South Africa. I've also camel raced in Jordan, and I love elephants in Botswana. So whatever is different and new, I love to try it all.
Is that for research or just fun?
Absolutely both. And the best part is you can write it off.
That I like. I like to hear that.
Yes, that's big adventure. Okay, so on our podcast, we like to try different wines, and today we have a red and a white, and I see you tried a white, so we're going to just say cheers. Pretend like we already haven't drank it all down. Cheers.
The Sauvignon Blanc is my absolute favorite. and you picked a very good vintage. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's 9 lives. It's, you know, it's a very like mysterious type wine for ThrillerFest.
Well, with my action adventure heroine, I need 9 lives. So thank you.
There you go. Perfect.
I'm down to 8 now.
It pairs perfectly. There we go.
So KJ is quite impressive around here at ThrillerFest, executive director. But she also is a writer, and we're at ThrillerFest. We should talk about writing, talk about craft. So do you want to share with our listeners who are writers what your process is? Are you an outliner, pantser, organizer, blueprinter? What do you like to call it? How do you do it?
Sure. I really enjoy writing because of the journey that's involved. And for me, I don't really like to plot too far ahead, because if I feel I'm surprised, then probably my reader is surprised. And I found that to be a very successful method for me. I totally respect people who do write outlines, and actually in some ways envy them. But honestly, I really love just finding the story and discovering it as I go. And at the end of the day, I'm totally a pantser, not a plotter. That's for sure.
All right. That's a very lovely way of saying it, too. Okay, so now, if you're game, we like to pick a random question usually from our carafe, and we call it a carafe question. If you want to pass, you can. We can pick another one, but otherwise, here we go.
She says, bring it.
Bring it on.
So, do you have a critique group or alpha readers or some process for feedback during the writing and editing process?
Absolutely. It takes a village to write a novel and to do it well. You don't have the objectivity to distance yourself from your own work, and so you do need to rely on people. If you see the length of my acknowledgements pages, you will know that I am very lucky to have a wonderful team. From my editor, who I'm very close to and is an incredibly, Nathaniel Marunas, and he is very detail-oriented and helps me from a craft perspective. Mm-hmm. But because I use a lot of specialized knowledge, I have several kidnap negotiators who read my books as well as special forces soldiers.
Oh, very cool.
And other people, like, for example, my book Skyjack, I had 3 pilots with different backgrounds read and advise me on the aviation aspects.
Oh, that's
for
great.
Me, I really want to get everything correct. And my character has type 1 diabetes. So I speak to medical experts about that as well as people who have it. So I would say that, it's very collaborative.
Very interesting. Okay, so now we have one final question that we like to ask all our authors. Which of your characters would you like to share a meal with, and what would it be?
Well, Thea Paris has a potential love interest named Riff. And let's be honest, he's my fantasy man. So there's no doubt that it would be a very, very nice candlelight dinner. Probably something Italian, and he would get food all over his face, and I would have to help him with that. So I probably would say that. And it would be a really nice adventure.
I want to hear Kathy's laughing there. She's laughing so hard that she... That is awesome. I love that. Oh, wow. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Okay. So, KJ, before you go, tell our listeners how they can find your books and connect with you.
I'm at kjhowe.com. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, pretty much everywhere. My books are available, Barnes & Noble, Chapters, Amazon. You say it, you can find it. I also, before you travel on your next vacation, you might want to visit my website at kjhowe.com, because I have a world map there that shows all the kidnapping hotspots. So it's always good to plan ahead and avoid those. But thanks a lot for having me on, guys. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
As always, the thriller writer in her comes out.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, KJ.
She was amazing, and I love how she said it takes a village to write a book.
I do too. And I love all of her adventures. Her life sounds like a novel in itself.
Next up, we have
David Albertyn.
His first novel, Undercard, was just released this year in Canada and comes out in the U.S. in June of 2020. It's going to be translated and released by HarperCollins in France and Germany. And the screen rights have been sold to a production company that's working on an adaptation.
Here's David describing his book, Undercard.
So yes, it's an intense, very intense thriller. Is set in Las Vegas over 24 hours.
Oh.
It's boxing, casinos, corrupt cops, revenge, and old friends thrust back together, pulse pounding from start to finish.
That was a great pitch.
He had me interested right away. Here's the rest of the interview. All right, so we're at ThrillerFest, a writers' conference. So we're going to start out with a pretty easy writerly question. Okay. Are you a pantser or are you a plotter?
Oh, it depends, I guess, on I had some previous unpublished works that I won't go into, but with this one, I did plot. I had the idea 2 years before I started writing. So while I was writing a previous work, so I really got to think about it a lot, do research, outline a lot. So when it came time to write, it really flowed well. So
okay, good. I love to hear that. So now we have one final question that we ask all our authors. Sure. Which of your characters would you like to share a meal with, and what would it be?
Oh, that's a good.
And this is in Las Vegas. There's lots of food options, right? Takes place in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Yes, takes place in Las Vegas. Oh boy. Okay, I would probably the character Naomi. She's the sort of the female lead. And she's just the awesome character in person. Okay. And some of the other characters you really wouldn't want to hang out with. You got to read the book to find out. But for various reasons, I'd like to hang out with. And then maybe like a fancy Japanese. Ooh. You know, I know they got some fancy in my research.
Yes.
Not hands-on. I read about it. And unfortunately get to... but yeah, a fancy Japanese restaurant, I'd say.
Oh, good.
That's excellent.
Yeah, that sounds good. He was so enthusiastic, Cathi, that I ended up buying his book at ThrillerFest. I mean, I guess it was the Canadian version, but it was a great read.
If you want to find out more about him, his website, davidalbertyn.com, has everything. Social media links, media appearances, and links to buy the book.
Up next, we have...
Cate Holahan.
She gave a great description of her book, so we're just going to jump right into our talk with this best-selling author.
Hi, Cate.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We're so excited to welcome Cate Holahan to Game of Books podcast. Tell our listeners what you write.
I write psychological thrillers. My fourth has just come out on Tuesday. It's called One Little Secret. Woohoo! And it was just named to one of Good Morning America's books to read for summer. So that was great. I'm really excited about it. It's about 3 couples that are all neighbors. They put the kids in camp and they rent a beach house at the Hamptons for the summer. And alcohol loosens lips, a lot of wine drinking. And one of the people in the house end up dead. And it's kind of a locked room mystery in that you know someone in the house did it and you have to figure out who. And there's a detective, Gabby Watkins, that is charged with figuring out who in the house had the right motive and means and opportunity. There you go.
Oh, right. I want to read it.
It sounds fantastic.
I do. So on our podcast, we like to try different wines. And so today we have both red and white. And I see you chose a red wine. So we're just going to say cheers real quick. And you can give it a taste and see what you think of the Love Noir wine.
Love Noir.
Mm-hmm. Love very much with my book.
Are you a plotter, a pantser, an organizer, a go for it? What kind of writer are you?
I'm definitely a plotter. I feel that with psychological thrillers, you're trying to surprise your audience, and your audience is a sophisticated audience. They read mysteries all the time, and they're looking for who did it. So if you want to surprise them, you really have to try to outthink them, and that means I have to spend a lot more time thinking about the story than the reader. However, sometimes my characters surprise me, and they force me to tear up my plots and redo it. But so I like to think I'm primarily a plotter.
Oh, that's fun. I like how you answered that. That was good. Okay, so now, if you're game, we like to do what we call the carafe question. Normally the questions are in a carafe. And if you don't like it, we can pass, but otherwise it's a fun question.
All right, cool.
In addition to ThrillerFest, what conferences do you or have you attended?
Well, I've attended BoucherCon, which is kind of like... one of the bigger conferences, I think, for the whole mystery thriller writer genre. And one thing I like about it is it switches location every year. So you get to visit a new city, which is kind of cool. I had never been to Toronto. before, and that was, I think, where the last one was. And so,
where is it going to be this year? I think
Dallas.
Dallas.
Ooh, Dallas. I've also never been to Dallas, so there you go. I love ThrillerFest though because I live right there in Bergen County, New Jersey, and so it's a quick one for me to get to, and it's an amazing conference. So many old friends and new friends, and it's a great one to go to.
Well, fun. We're glad you came. Which of your characters would you like to share a meal with, and what would it be?
Ooh, all right. So actually, I'm not going to go with my current book for this one. My favorite is the investigator in The Widower's Wife, Ryan Monahan. He's like my dream guy. I shouldn't say that with my husband, but he's like a total.
You based it on your husband, right?
Yeah. So I mean, he's a total like intellectual statistics nerd, but he's also like kind of a hot cop. And he's an insurance investigator, and he was just my favorite. Like we're talking alternative universe here, right? Because
absolutely.
A fictional person, right?
So
I would totally.
And what do you think you guys would have?
What do I think he would eat, or
what? Yeah, what would you guys? Where would you guys go?
Oh, let's see.
I mean, in this fantasy world,
I
you
know,
could go
in this
anywhere.
fantasy world. I don't know. Well, as long as I'm going, maybe we'd go to Portugal.
Yeah, there you go.
There's this restaurant called what was it? It's the Ode Wine House in Portugal, and they do like a 7-course tasting meal, so you get a long time to talk, and there's a wine pairing, of course.
Oh, of course. Oh my gosh, I'm going.
So I think
going.
I would do that. That would be great.
Well, thank you so much. That's great.
That was such a fun answer. I want to go to Portugal now, too.
I know we were partly joking, but I really think we need to go check out this restaurant in Portugal. I would say that it probably could fall under research for our podcast.
Oh, I am so in. And maybe Kate would want to join us, or any of our mysterious foodies.
Yep.
And just so everybody knows, you can reach Kate at cateholahan.com. She's also on Facebook at Cate Holahan.
And up next is
Elizabeth Wilkerson.
She writes suspense thrillers from an Afro-futuristic point of view, which is a mouthful, but it sounds fascinating. Her protagonists are women caught in the crosshairs of self-interest, privacy, and self-preservation. Plus, there's usually a little Asian influence. Most of her books are set in Japan. Her latest thriller is called Tokyo Firewall.
How do you write? Do you outline? Do you do a blueprint, pants, plot? What works for you?
I absolutely outline, and I'm open to the universe. I outline, and then I look for meaningful coincidences, synchronicities, and then that's when the fun begins. The creative process is all about why I'm an artist and a writer. So I'm an outliner who's open.
Okay, so now if you're game, on our podcast, we like to ask a random question. We call it a carafe question.
Okay, so I'll read it. If you were invited to a book club to discuss Tokyo Firewall, what would you love for them to serve, to eat, and drink?
Sashimi presented by a chef who knows how to find the freshest fish and to cut it right. And people in Japan don't drink sake. Sake is old news. People in Japan drink shochu. I would like some nice chilled shochu with the sashimi.
Okay, so now we have one final question that we like to ask all our authors. Which of your characters would you like to share a meal with, and what would it be?
My protagonist, Allison, needs to share a meal with herself because she's trying to figure it out, get it together. I recommend she find a ramen restaurant that's cozy and she can order by pressing a button at a vending machine, and it's all good.
I didn't realize that soju had replaced sake in popularity in Japan.
Me either, although I've recently tasted soju with my daughter. It's something that she had while she was in Korea. And do you know what it is?
I don't.
Well, it's kind of like the description that I've always heard is sake is a wine. Sake is a rice wine, and soju is more like a whiskey or something like that. It could be made from rice or sweet potatoes, but it's like way stronger.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know.
Well, I'll have to try it and let Elizabeth know what I think. You can reach Elizabeth at her website, elizabethwilkerson.com. She's also on Instagram at elizwilkerson and on Twitter at Liz with 2 Z's, Liz Wilk, Lizzwilk.